in a typical use case, I'll give you example from media industry. Let's say, or think of e-commerce itself, right? Amazon. Amazon exists in UK, in India, it's a multi-tenant application. It exists in US also, multiple regions of Europe. So for Europeans, the CDN or for versus Indians versus US, it will vary, right? So what will happen if Amazon existed only in India? People who will access from India, they'll get the responses pretty quickly and easily, assuming they have working bandwidth and all, right? So maybe I'll get the responses in 10 milliseconds versus UK. So from transmitting data from India to UK to your US, it'll take some bit of time, right? Which is typically your latency. So that can increase. To overcome that, what companies do is companies typically host servers, which typically are called as CDNs with different companies. AWS calls as CloudFront. Akamai has their own CDN network, right? Content delivery network, which is typically CDN, and they will start caching the data. Okay, maybe for Anna, they have their servers, let's say somewhere in EU region, let's say Germany. So instead of serving data from India, they can serve it from Germany to her so that it's efficient and faster. For somebody sitting in US, let's say Sarang is in US tomorrow, he wants to get homepage for Amazon. It has to look different. It has to feel different. It has to serve different content. So that caching will be done somewhere in US region. Let's say it's in California. Their servers are there. So their CDN is set up there. So for Sarang, it will be served from the California network wherever they have cache. So this would typically be your cache data or values which we are trying to access depending on our region. So your HTTP request from DNS will typically go to CDN or load balancer. If CDN is not implemented, let's say I am not the Amazon of the world, I am not Disney of the world. I don't have that kind of money to host CDNs because it's a cost heavy process. In that case, what will happen is the request will typically go to load balancer because CDN is not there. So I can't really go to anywhere else. I have to go to load balancer. Load balancer can be your application load balancers or your network load balancers, right? These are two different categories of load balancer. Application happens to be on the client side, and NLB happens to be on the network side. We'll come to that. So right now we are talking of application load balancer, right? At this point, what happens is, let's say my host name was shreyanshshukla.in, right? So if I have a load balancer, I am trying to send particular requests from UK, US, and Europe to different routes that I would have created. So AWS has this feature for Route 53 where we can spin up multiple co-instances or co-servers for people to access from, right? Why to do that? Because if I have a single server and all five of us request the data from that server, it might end up choking. It might end up increasing the latency. So I wouldn't want that. What I can do is maybe for Europe, I would set up something like qa.shreyanshshukla.in. For UK or for India, I can do shreyanshshukla.in because this is India region. And maybe for US, I can do api.shreyanshshukla.in, right? These are co-servers which we are setting up internally in our main server. And through load balancer, based on the country or based on the IP which I am receiving, I can route these requests so that my server is not overwhelmed. It's not receiving requests at a rapid rate and it's actually routing to the right place so that my costs are not increased, my chances of going down, of server going down are less.